Welcome to the In Memory of Man podcast, a show dedicated to the brave new world of crime, artificial intelligence, and meaning. The future is now. Here's your host, criminal trial lawyer, researcher, and author, Robert Kiesling.
Hello, welcome to the In Memory of Man podcast, Robot Crime Blog. I'm your host, Robert Kiesling. This is episode 12. I do the research so you don't have to. I'm absolutely flabbergasted and alarmed, people, of what's been transpiring as of late. And what am I talking about? I'm talking about the tech companies and how they're using speculation, yes, speculation, and pawning it off as fact to our government officials, and they're being bamboozled. And I'm trying to help you guys out and trying to help you understand, and hopefully this episode will help you. In a nutshell, let me tell you about speculation in court. Speculation is not used in court. The reason it's not used is because it doesn't help the fact finder. It actually confuses the fact finder because it opens a gateway into a whole plethora of inaccurate information. And that's what's going on right now. Let's jump in and I'm going to show you how and why. Facebook is tracking coronavirus symptoms by county to identify hotspots. That's CNBC. So what they're doing is, folks, is they are using your Facebook information by you going ahead and opting into this theater of the absurd. And what do I mean? Why is it the theater of the absurd? Is because they are now designating hotspots based on what information you're giving them. Think about it. They're having you self-diagnose. Self-diagnose is the worst thing that you can do. Ask any doctor. And yet they're using this information without confirming it with the medical field, right? And they're going to designate hotspots. Well, what if your spot gets quarantined because of people listing themselves of having a loss of smell, pain in their toes, farting, coughing, fever, one or any of those things, and enough people have those issues, right? And they're going to label that as a coronavirus when they don't have any proof that it's a coronavirus. They haven't been tested, but yet they can quarantine that area, or worse, who knows what can happen? I mean, we don't know. Allegedly, we haven't seen the worst of it, and there's a second wave. Well, I'm telling you, folks, and Facebook is getting away with this. And you know where else they've gotten away with a lot of stuff? And I told you about this in my prior podcast, is China. Facebook, Google, they've been helping China create an Orwellian state. If you didn't know what that is, listen to my prior podcast. I don't have time to get into it right now. All right, let's go to another one where I can prove that this speculation is affecting us and it is creating a gigantic problem in the media with everyone. MIT, AI predicts catastrophe if social distancing restrictions relax too soon. And they're saying that they accurately perfected the predictive curve in all the different countries. All right, and that's as of, and they said that it would stop, that it would level off. The coronavirus the curve would flatten. That's what the term is, flatten on April 20th, and we are now on April 21st, 2020. Well, new article out of Bloomberg a few hours ago. U.S. confirmed cases rises 2.7%. 4 p.m. New York. That was, I guess that would have been yesterday. So MIT says they perfected and they have accurately can tell us how and when the curve is going to be flattened, except they said it would be April 20th, but yet it's April 21st and it's actually coronavirus cases has risen 2.7%. What's wrong with that picture? Again, speculation. They are feeding information that they're putting into a black box. And I've talked about this before, but the black box is an imaginary box that all this data flows into, and it creates an algorithm, and that algorithm searches for only specified items that the algorithm has been told to look for, right? And based on that, they feed this information, and then they tell us things that they've perfected, and they haven't perfected anything because it's inaccurate. It is nothing more than a prediction. Folks, you got to wake up. Do not listen to this. Make them test it. Make it tested in the field. Have them prove scientifically how it's a valid, because it's not valid. They're not saying this is a valid test because it's not. And you got to do that. All right, let's go into coronavirus trackers. Try out AI tools as eyes turn to reopening. Again, these articles can be found on my podcast, and the links to these articles can be found on the podcast, and you can draw your own conclusions. So this article is basically saying that they're using medical history. How did they get your medical history, first of all? Because unless you signed a HIPAA, they shouldn't be allowed to have that medical history. 2, real-time body temperatures. Where are they getting this real-time body temperature in this algorithm? How are they doing that? Think about that. Where are they getting it? If it's true, that's very scary to think about. Current symptoms, such as, again, I said, coughing, sneezing, all the other stuff, right? So they're asking you to self-diagnose, and they're actually self-diagnosing for you, even though they're scientists, they're coders, they are not medical doctors. And then they're using demographics, and that's even more terrifying because demographics, that opens up a whole nother can of worms into race, creed, and color. So by using this, they're also tapping into what we would call, again, biased, and that bias is the algorithm that's fed only specific information based on, again, self-diagnosis, not medical, not actual test, but yet they're pawning it off as fact to help governments determine our freedom. Think about it, folks. All right. Coronavirus AI steps up in battle against COVID-19. Now, this is an interesting article because there's only 2 ways that you can design a vaccine or a drug, right? The 2 ways are 1, creating a completely new drug or vaccine, or 2, it's called repurposing old drugs, right, that have been successful in combating similar viruses to similar viruses in certain areas, right, and then repurposing it and being able to find a way that it combats the coronavirus. Now, what does that mean? Well, it means that the first way, if you find something new, if you find something new, that means that you have to wait 2 years by the FDA to get it approved. So all these companies are scrambling to try to repurpose all these drugs, and they're using AI to do it. So is that a better way to find a cure for something or find a cure for a virus, is to get things that repurpose because they're trying to skirt around the 2 years? And I understand why they would do that, is because we're rushing to get a cure, right? Well, I mean, there's better ways to streamline it, but if that's what they're doing is repurposing old drugs, we could be waiting a long time for that scenario. And on top of that, let me give you more information on that. So they've, again, used black boxes and speculative algorithms, and they're saying that now that this coronavirus invades brain tissue, speculation, and attacks the male reproductive system, again, speculation. So now people they're gonna give this information out right away to scientists. It's not going to be proven. It's not going to be validated. And then when it's not proven or validated, what does that do? It causes speculation. Speculation will cause panic. Panic will be the unnecessary panic on the speculation because it hasn't been a validated, proven test. It is just some speculative algorithm that these scientists or these coders have put into the black box in order to either make money, get money from governments, because they're saying that they have the test that will help ensure our safety, all based on speculation, which means it's based on squat. Lastly, I wanted to go ahead and give you an update on the Clearview. If you know what Clearview is, they are the facial recognition software that's been predominantly used. And then they got hacked, and over 70,000 facial recognition and data that we have no idea that they probably got illegally had got hacked into via their camera, which the camera is called Insight. The Insight camera has now been recalled. So this company that's been using this Insight camera, and the camera's being able to hack to, they've recalled it. So all that information that this company had that was hired privately or publicly now has given all this information to hackers because they didn't do their homework and they didn't protect our interests. They only protected their interests, and their interest is money. So folks, again, I have hopefully given you the information that you need and to understand what speculation is, how these tech companies like Facebook and Google are using this speculation, using you, right, to upload information based on your own self-diagnosis, and then calling it, and potentially will be calling these places hotspots, right? Coronavirus new hotspots or predictive hotspots based on the information, and they could possibly get governments to quarantine on inaccurate information. all because of money and because of whatever other purpose that they have or desire that they have to use this information. They do not have your best interest in mind. If they did, they wouldn't be doing or wouldn't have done what they did in China, which was to help them create an Orwellian state. Look it up. This is prior to coronavirus, and that's about it. So wanted to give you a quote. That quote is from John Adams, and that quote is, I believe, is freedom lost, or freedom, I think freedom lost is lost forever, something along those lines. I'll get that information to you. I'll have it obviously on my podcast as well. So that said, if Skynet doesn't take over the next podcast or some other AI, predictive AI, then I will see you then. Thanks. Bye.